This is a 29eronline's introduction to the specialized Epic Comp Carbon 29. We received this a couple months ago and have been riding it. Didn't want to waste any time getting it on the trail, but now we're going to go over just some components and some frame properties or frame features. So the first thing we'll do is start working on the frame. The frame is a carbon fiber front triangle with an aluminum rear end. It's the Epic platform, so this is really a race bike that's able to do trail also, but primarily based on covering ground fast in a race format, ultra endurance, or a regular short track, or regular XC events. It's strong and stiff enough though, we're finding for everyday trail work also, if speed is a priority. It's a very comfortable bike depending on how you set up the brain feature. So speaking of the brain, let's take a look at it and go over what it does. So this is the brain, and you can see this hose going to the rear shock. This is a very low volume air shock. I was really amazed at how small the air can is. And with that sort of a shock, I was assuming that it was going to be very progressive, but in actuality it's very plush, handles small bumps very well in the open format. If you leave the brain in the wide open plushest setting, really acts more like a high volume shock. I'm not really sure how Specialized did that, but it works very well. You can see over here the red dial. This controls your rebound setting. I find it's best to set the shock, set the sag, and the rebound with the brain completely off, and then tune the brain to your liking. Going back to the brain, you see this blue dial on the top. If you spin it clockwise, it firms the rear end, making it feel almost like a hardtail. You can get it almost locked out completely until you hit a bump, and then you can feel a little snap in the valve, and the wheel goes completely through its travel. On the opposite side, if you go counterclockwise, it's the softest setting, and you really don't feel a brain at all. It feels completely active with no restriction at all. What we're finding is most of the testers are settling somewhere around 6 to 8 clicks, which is roughly the halfway point of this setting. Since we're back here, this is a 142/12 rear hub. This is 142 plus, actually. It's Specialized version. It's a little bit wider on the cassette body. Widens the stance and makes for a stiffer wheel with more even tension than the standard 135 settings with a 142 adapter. The 12 is actually this axle. You can see this is the thread side. So it's an oversized axle. It makes for very stiff rear end. Excellent power transfer, and since you have full suspension, it's really not an issue as far as being rough or beating you up. Here's the FSR link right here. This is unique to Specialized. Really, they license it out to other people, but it's a time-proven design, fully active while braking, and without the brain setting, these are very active rear suspension, which I really do like. So the next feature we'll see is this little swing link. And if you notice closely, we've installed the sagometer, or sagatron rather. And the sagatron helps if you don't want to work with the little rubber O-ring to set your sag measurements. Specialized includes this in their kit, and just follow the instructions so it's easier to set your sag. Now onto the carbon fiber frame. We see a really dramatic shaping, going to that big 1.5 to 1 1/8 inch standard head tube. We're really loving the tapered steer tubes. It adds quite a bit of stiffness as far as, especially when you're braking or when you're really pushing the bike hard into a turn. In the twisting aspect, we find more that the lower axle, the 15QR, 20QR, really makes the majority of a distance there. But in the forward and back motion, we find that these tapered steer tubes are excellent. They also really help add material to the front of the triangle, which helps make the bike stiffer. the front end stiffer. And it is noticeable, and it's something I personally like. We really haven't gotten any complaints about a bike being too stiff, but flex is definitely something we're going to hear complaints about. Moving on, the seat mast, we see how it's bent. You may, from this angle, you can really see it. They do this so they can shorten the chain stays, and so while you do limit the amount you can move the seat up and down, it's really a necessary thing. If you really want the flexibility with the seat post height, then the dropper seat posts are really excellent now, especially the Specialized command post. So they do this so they can keep these chain stays nice and short, which you would measure from the center of the bottom bracket area where they see that hole in the crank, the spindle, to the center of the rear axle. And the Specialized has nice short stays. You can really feel it as far as how nimble it is. Now, Specialized does use a low bottom bracket, and where the jury's out on it, we haven't had any problems with the Epic frame with bottom bracket clearance. Minor adjustments in your riding style really make all the difference in the world, and compared to past models, it's not even an issue on the Epic 29. So that's really the features we want to point out in the frame. Now we can go into components. Start from the saddle. This is the Specialized Phenom Comp saddle. And we're all of us at 29eronline are fans of these Specialized saddles. The body geometry saddles is really a shape for pretty much everyone out there. On the Epic, of course, it's going to go towards the race side, so it's minimal padding. You have the pressure relief cutouts. This is a 143 width. It's long in the nose, so it really helps when you're sliding forward and back on the seat for certain climbing moves. I know Calvin and myself are really happy with this Phenom saddle. The Specialized seat post, it's a single bolt. It pivots on a built-in, I don't know if you can see that or not. It's really easy to set up, really easy to level the saddle. One bolt, pinch it down, and you're done. It is a setback, about a 1-inch setback, and a 30.9 seat post. Now, interestingly, the seat clamp is not a standard size. It comes with the quick release, and this is really to protect that carbon frame to make sure you don't over clamp and ruin the carbon. Onto the rear wheel. Again, we're going the 142/12. The stock tire setup is a Specialized Renegade, and it's a very fast rolling tire with not much tread. Again, race specific. We've switched to the Captain, S-Works Captain series. This is a 2.2. We find this a little bit better for our trails. So if you're riding it as a trail bike, you may want to talk to your dealer about swapping out to the not as fast of a tread, but a grippier tread like these Captains. SRAM does give you a 10-speed cassette. This is a Shimano offering. X9 rear derailleur, 10-speed rear derailleur. We're really liking the new X9 10-speed stuff, easy to set up. It holds up really well. It's not really finicky, and so we have really no complaints there. It's a really solid spec. The front derailleur is an X7, as are the shifters, SRAM X7, and it's an E-style mount. And so if you decide to take the front derailleur off, be careful. There are spacers. You want to make sure you don't lose those spacers. Again, it's set up for a 2x, so 2 chain rings up front. This is a standard 104/64 bolt spacing, and so it's very easy to get chain rings for. If you notice, the chain ring is where normally a middle chain ring would be, and the outside, where the large chain ring would be, they just use shorter bolts. And so if you decide to go to a 3-ring setup, it's a relatively easy conversion. We're finding with the 2-ring setups, we're really not running out of gears. Even on our steep, long climbs, it's really not a problem. You're going to be suffering no matter what you're in. And the 24 low ring, it really isn't an issue with the 36 rear. Now, the Epic does not come with pedals, and so we just threw on a set we had. So make sure you save room in the budget to get yourself a set of pedals, or if you already have them, to swap them over. The Avid brakes. These are Elixir brakes. They're a custom spec from Specialized. They come with alloy back pads and the smaller 160 rotors as opposed to their trail offerings, which are coming with 180s. Again, we're going to a more race-specific spec. The Specialized hubs run on sealed cartridge bearings. So far, we're just not having issues with the hub at all. They roll well. No friction. It's really noticeable. They don't engage as quick as some of the $1,000 wheel sets that we've been on, but they're good enough. And I just ride them until they wear out, and replace them with something really high end like the Roval wheel sets that Specialized offers, or other aftermarket offerings. We are setting these up tubeless. The Epic comes with everything you need to run these wheels tubeless, and it's definitely a worthwhile conversion to do. You will just need to get some goo or some sort of latex sealant. Now on the front, we were originally running Captain tires. Again, for our trails, we just prefer the larger tires for our all-around conditions that we're having now. We're kind of in our wetter season, and so we are running the Escar Front 2.3. And if you notice, you've been following 29eronline, we run these on all of our test bikes for the majority of our testing. Now something interesting, Specialized does something cool with their front forks. First off, the frame goes all the way up to the $5,500 Expert Series. This is the same frame we're running on the Comp. And the fork is also RockShox RLT, so it's their high-end Reba fork. But down here, instead of running a through axle, they're actually running a standard dropout. But on the hub, they use these oversized end caps. And so it increases the surface area. And we'll move it over to the other side of the wheel. You can see this RWS style quick release. It's a ratcheting quick release. And so when you torque down on that, in combination with the oversized end caps, they're claiming the stiffness of a 15 QR. Actually, they're claiming it exceeds it. And we're not going to debate it. It's plenty stiff. We're not noticing any lower end flex. And so whatever they did, it works very well. Our cockpit controls, we are running X7 shifter pods and the Elixir RSL brakes that are custom spec'd for Specialized. Flat bars, Specialized aluminum flat bars. Nice bends to them. We're not really flat bar fans. This right now is set up for Cami, and so she's running the shorter stem, not the stock stem. Normally the stock stem is a 100mm version with about an 8-degree rise. Since Cami is kind of the shorter of all of us at 5'10", she is running a 80mm stem with the flat bars, and it's working very well for her. Also, you notice these aren't the stock grips, and there's nothing wrong with the stock grips. We just typically run the Oris on all of our stuff. The standard stock grips are a thin grip, so if you have larger hands, you may want to talk to your dealer about upgrading you from the shop to a thicker grip. All of us here are pretty much 5'11" to 6'2", and so we tend to be a little bit bigger. So other cool features here: Specialized top cap to compress the headset, and it's really machined out and super light. These are really light bolt too, so that's a really little thing, but it's kind of cool if you have the option. This bike is just below 28 pounds as a complete, and it's retailing for $4,300 for the complete bike. And if you are looking into racing, or you just want a really fast trail bike, definitely put a leg over the Epic Comp 29 from Specialized. One other last note: the carbon fiber. We've had a lot of questions about carbon fiber, if it really makes a difference, and the short answer: yeah, it does. It's much more comfortable. There's a damp feeling to it. It's very stiff. The frames are light. If you wanted to spend a fortune, you could definitely get this bike in the 23 pound range, really respectably, with relatively easy part swaps. You can get it easily down to 26 pounds with pedals, even with the heavier tires. And even at 28 pounds, we're not really complaining about weight. We have no complaints about the weight. So it's definitely a race-worthy bike out of the box. And if you have your $4,300 and you really can't spend more, you're not selling yourself short on this bike. There's really nothing you need to replace out of the box. And so as of this point, we recommend it. And over the next couple of weeks, you'll start seeing first impressions and comments, and then our final review. So keep tuned to us. Check out our website, and you'll see updates as we go, or check us out on Twitter. This is www.29eronline.com, 29eronline.com, and we'll see you next time.